Well, I think the young generation of rappers is really dope because a lot of them benefited from what we started to do in the late 90s, early 2000s, and up till now. We're still doing it. But when we started being independent, it was because the mainstream, the big music companies found out that that their rappers could make popular mainstream songs. And that's good. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. The problem though is that when they started realizing that they could make hits that were crossover mainstream hits, they started expecting them to do that. And every rapper knew that they had to make some hits. And that started to limit what they were able to say, because they thought it would be difficult to make a hit saying what artists really thought. So they had to become what mainstream society, which is dominated by white men, they started to have to, because of the capitalist competition, they had to give them music that white men who were dominating the industry buying the music. They had to give them the music that they wanted. And so they had to give them, over-sexual music. They had to give them overly violent music. They had to give them music that was about materialism. Fantasy music for young white men who, instead of engaging in genuine, authentic ways with black people and with marginalized people and with women and with brown people and with native people, have a fantasy about them rather than really engage and relate with them. And so that's what happened. So the backlash of that was the underground. And so we were forced to create a business model that allowed us to deal directly with the fans. This was before Twitter, before MySpace, before Facebook, before all this stuff. There was the internet, but it was just message boards, and it wasn't as interactive as it is now. And so, we developed, Atmosphere, Living Legends, Def Jux, Merce, LP, Sage Francis. I would also say, the Raucous era had a lot to do with that as well. Talib Kweli, I think, has been very important in that movement as well. But going directly to people, touring a lot, talking with people, all of these kind of things. And so now, when the music industry is failing, now when kids come up, they have that as a model to follow. And so that's what Kendrick Lamar did. And so because they're independent, they speak the way that they want to. And so, there's less explicitly conscious music, in the sense that there's less music that's devoted to a message only. But what they are doing is they mix the party with the message. So that's what Kendrick Lamar does. And he's brilliant at it. And I think that might even be more effective than somebody that's just the message. You know what I mean? So you listen to Kendrick, he's fly, he has fun, he has nice things, he has pretty girls, but he's also saying, my neighborhood is crazy. You know what I mean? People are getting murdered around me. I want to be a good kid, but I live in a mad city. He's also saying, I grew up in the crack era. Kendrick his generation is the first one that grew up. They're the children of, Kendrick's dad is only 10 years older than me. I'm a generation in between Kendrick and his dad. I'm 10 years older than Kendrick, 10 years younger than his dad. You know what I mean? So when I was growing up, when I was little, I was seeing my friends selling crack. Kendrick was growing up watching his parents' generation with crack. And so he's able to talk about that in a way that's really important. And I think Ab-Soul is a very conscious artist. I consider him to be, the new Dead Prez. you know. And so the fact that, you know, Absol and Kendrick on the same label with Schoolboy Q, you know, who's just, you know, a G, you know what I mean? He's not just a G, but he is a G. All of those dudes, you know, I think that the wholeness, the more complete picture of hip hop is coming back because those kids, those, you know, and I call them kids, but he's, you know what I mean? He's 26, I'm 36. You know what I mean? It's not that, but it feels like a whole generation younger, you know. You know, they have the freedom to be their whole self. And it's good too for the white listeners too, I think. The mainstream listeners to hear that. You know, there's still way too much male domination. You know, women are still objects too much of the time. You know, there's still too much of that. There's still a lot of work to be done. But it's important in culture for people to be able to be their whole self. That's where you start, is by expressing and being honest. And I think there's a lot of honesty in that music. Yeah. I think, you know, there are others too, you know, that are bringing that. Danny Brown is somebody that we look at. I think a lot of people look at Danny Brown as just like, you know what I mean? But if you listen to the whole album, there's music in there, you know, house, field, house. You know what I mean? You know, abandoned house, like him talking about Detroit and talking about his life. You know, he's amazing too. I think, you know, Freddie Gibbs is another one. You know, there's a lot of great artists, man. I think it's really good.
Blinded by my hunger. Some say I dream too big and my dream gon' take me under. Beneath the streets of Gary.
Right now my dream collaboration would be Ant. I just want to get back with Ant. But I've always wanted to work with Questlove. And I would say Questlove or Mos Def. Yasin Bey. Yeah. Those are the people that I've always, you know, we have our inspiration and our aspiration. The people that we are truly around, and then the people that we wish we were around. I think most artists have that. And it's good to, I think it's okay to do, you know what I mean? But I've always, my inspirations, the people that I'm around are atmosphere, mostly. You know, when I was a kid, it was KRS-One, Rakim, and Public Enemy. Yeah, those are the people that taught me how to rap, that taught me how to rap. The atmosphere is the one that taught me, they're the ones that taught me how to be myself in rap. You know what I mean? And that's very important. That the people that inspire you to rap, and then there are other people that show you how to be yourself in your music. And that was atmosphere. But the people that I've always wanted to be around were, you know, the Roots and Mos Def. Those are the people that I still, in terms of like who are the best rappers right now, those are mine. Okay.
Yeah, and I am somebody, and we am, and she am, and he am, and I am somebody. I was raised with the raised fist, Angela Davis, summer '68 Olympics, train banging your wings against the